I will go ahead and open this meeting of the Torrington City Council. This is Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024. Good evening and welcome all. I want to always remind people that we have Ryan Kaith here from KERM, KGOS Radio. This meeting is being broadcast live on the local radio stations and also on the YouTube. We also have here Jess Oakes from the Torrington Telegram. This is our first meeting in July, our 13th meeting of the year. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Councilman Shane Victron to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is the mayor's informational items. Thursday, July 4th is Independence Day, celebrating the day in 1776 when our founding generation declared that the colonies were not colonies any longer, but free and independent states, and were entitled to be recognized as such by Great Britain and King George III, and indeed the rest of the world. Please celebrate our Independence Day with vigor. We are not a perfect nation. No nation is perfect, but we are a great nation, the greatest nation in the world. Again, celebrate America's Independence Day with vigor. Please celebrate safely, giving due care and having concern for your neighbors. City offices and departments will be closed on July 4th, except for the emergency services and the on-call employees. Please take note, Dave and Doris McDonald, pardon me, along with other readers, will be reading the Declaration of Independence on Thursday, July 4th at 9:30 a.m. on the south lawn of the Goshen County Courthouse. David is the retired local public defender. I want to talk a bit about neighbors and being neighborly. As the great English poet John Donne recorded, no man is an island. As the Christian commandment is recorded, love thy neighbor as thyself. As the golden rule is recorded, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Becky and I are blessed to have great neighbors on all sides of us. We are truly thankful to have good neighbors. Good neighbors bring blessings to all around them. Good citizenship involves being a good neighbor. To be a good neighbor, be friendly, be caring and watchful of your neighbor's children and property. Be watchful for all your neighbors, especially the seniors and those with disabilities. Don't be overly demanding or petty. Be considerate. Mow your lawn, pull your weeds, shovel your sidewalk, clean up your pet's waste. Treat your neighbors as you would have them treat you. We all live in community. No man is an island. Good community starts with being a good neighbor. As always, please slow down, get out and enjoy the summer season. Please take extra care while driving. Please do not use your cell phones while driving. Please take extra care to watch out for pedestrians, bicycles, motorcycles, and the electric scooters that seem to be everywhere. Please continue to have a safe, pleasant summer. Thank you, and again, happy Independence Day to all. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the June 18th, 24 council meeting as published.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion from Councilman Victron to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Deal. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the consent agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda itself.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve the agenda.
I have a motion from Councilman Patterson to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Victron. Do we have any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approval of the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda is what we call the public forum. We don't have any takers for it this evening, but I like to explain it so anybody that's listening or is in attendance can take advantage of that if they so choose. This is a spot on our agenda for non-agenda items. There is a time limit of 2 minutes, and the speaker must sign up before the meeting. This is a time for the council to listen. No action will be taken, and the way one takes advantage of that is to fill out the form and place it in that box, that black box in front of Councilman Victorin. Next item on the agenda are the action items. Item number 1 is a special event permit. Kara Wiggins of Vista Beam is requesting a special event permit for a summer luau event to be held on July 12th, 24, from 3 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. The applicant is requesting approval to close the public street on Main Street from the intersection of Main Street and Valley Road to 20th Avenue, and to have the special event permit fee waived. And for this item, I would first call on Matt Johnson, Chief of Police.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This event is slated for Friday afternoon. The actual event itself would take place between 5 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. However, setup and tear down will impact traffic a little bit longer than that. We're looking at a setup time beginning at 3 p.m. and tear down time starting at 9:30 p.m. That is going to have an impact on downtown traffic, 3 p.m. on a Friday. We can safely manage that so long as you folks are comfortable with that impact and the downtown businesses are comfortable with that impact. Looks like they've got a large amount of support in the signatures on the page. No alcohol with this one, so we're not anticipating the need for an officer to be designated for the event, but our folks will circulate and check in and enjoy the event with everyone else that's present. We looked at what it would take in order for the city to support this, and I provided those numbers for you there. Ed's team with Streets and Sanitation will take the brunt of the work of getting the barricades and roll-out dumpsters available. And then we'll do a little bit of assistance in setting up for street closure and tearing down, for opening it back up. Staff recommends approval as long as you folks are comfortable with the traffic impact. And if you have any other questions, I'd sure be happy to answer them.
All right, thank you, Chief. I'm going to open it up to questions for Chief Johnson. I believe Kara Wiggins is here. And after we're done with the Chief, I will invite you up, ma'am, to address the council regarding this. So, first question I have, Chief, is you mentioned that you had calculated time-wise the cost to the city, and I see in my agenda you were calculating 4 hours of total staff time at an estimated cost of $105, and then an additional $38 of staff time. So the 105 plus the 38 is how you calculated the cost to the city?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there going to be music at this event?
Yes, sir, there will be. The stage will be facing northbound. The staff with Vista Beam has agreed to work with us to make sure that that's reasonable. And it'll be projecting right into where everybody is enjoying the various booths and vendors there. So we would anticipate that would be pretty easy to keep that volume at a reasonable level, and particularly only go until 8:30 p.m.
All right. Gentlemen, do you have any questions for the chief? I have some more, but I'll open it up for you guys. Not yet? All right. Chief, I noticed on the sheet that you include, as always, the notification of event sheet, it looks like a substantial number of those businesses in that area that would be affected have been notified and actually signed the notification of event.
I have not done a formal checklist, but at glance, it appears that everyone on that block has signed and approved.
Okay. And if they hadn't signed, they were notified, I would say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And just so that people know, if they do object and they won't sign, then they have an opportunity to come to a council meeting and state their objection here, so.
Absolutely.
All right, gentlemen, if you don't have any further questions for Chief Johnson, I'll call Miss Kara Wiggins up. And ma'am, when you approach the podium, just state your name for the record. We know who you are, but, okay.
Is it okay if I give this to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Pass that out real quick so you guys have a little video.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
My name is Kara Wiggins. I'm the marketing coordinator at VistaBeam, stating my name. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chief Johnson, and thank you, council members, for allowing me a moment to speak on this. We are incredibly excited to host this event for the community. I'm very new to this position, and part of taking on this new position was a great motivation to connect with our communities on a deeper level. Any marketing person can stand up here and tell you that they care and that your support and financial support especially means a lot, but that's not enough, and that really doesn't connect with the heart. So my goal in my new marketing position is to really show people the heart of VistaBeam and to connect with the pain points in our communities. The communities that we serve are very rural, and as you all know, in our rural communities, often if we want to do something, we want something brought to the community, we have to do it ourselves. So our goal with hosting this event is to connect with the community on a deep level, to provide a family-friendly atmosphere, and to be able to really display the heart and soul of VistaBeam. So as you can see on the little flyer I provided you, it is Friday, July 12th. The actual event is from 5 to 8:30 p.m. We requested a 2-hour setup time. That is just so in case something goes sideways, I have plenty of time to recover and come up with a solution, although I don't anticipate that happening. I like to give myself a little extra time, and the folks that are coming down to set up and connect to the community gives them plenty of time to set up as well. We requested an hour of cleanup time. I don't foresee that taking quite that long, but again, I would rather ask for more and then not have to run out of time and cause issues with traffic. We were wanting to do it on Main Street between 19th and 20th. Go Goshen currently has an initiative with downtown and Main Street, and we really wanted to line up with what they're trying to do with drawing more attention and business to downtown Torrington. And we thought this lined up perfectly with what we're trying to accomplish within our communities. And so that is why we chose that location. That, and ever so conveniently, our VistaBeam office is also right there. We also use that as an empowerment center, and we wanted to let the public know about the empowerment center. Some of the capabilities that we have at our empowerment center within our office is the ability for community members to have meetings. So if the chamber needed a meeting location, an organization, different nonprofit groups, if they needed a meeting location, we have that capability. And we also have a screen where you can zoom in members who aren't able to participate in person. We also offer the ability to set up telehealth appointments for folks who can't drive. Maybe you don't have the access to go out of state for their health needs. We don't do anything on the medical side. All we do is we schedule them that little room, that little nook that we have. It's very private. We get them connected online through the screen, the Zoom capabilities. We make sure that's all set up and connected, and then we let them have their business, and we leave it at that. So we also wanted to highlight the Empowerment Center and let people know that that is available to them as well. As you can see, we have some activities. We're working with Go Goshen to bring a bounce house. I'm going to bring cornhole boards. 21st Century has agreed, if we get the approval, that they will bring a piece of equipment that little kids can come up and check out. And we've asked Chief Johnson if he would like to participate and promote his safety awareness event that he's got going on. So we really want to draw in these other organizations and groups within the community to promote the things that they have going on and get the opportunity to connect with the community. We're providing free live music. In other locations, we have provided free food. However, because we were on Main Street and we have those wonderful restaurants right there, we really wanted to encourage folks to go to the restaurants on Main. So I've worked with the restaurants and have asked that if they should like to participate, that they come up with a special that kind of goes along with the theme. And we would promote that on our socials. And then that way, when people get hungry or sick of the heat, they just pop in and do their business right there downtown. So, is there any questions or anything else I can clarify?
This is kind of a question and a comment. You're one of the first applicants for a special events permit that does not want to serve alcohol.
Yeah, I used to bartend, so I didn't want that mess.
So this is a family-friendly,
Yes.
child-friendly?
Yes. And to that regard, to that point, we do know that some people like to let loose and relax, and that's great for them to go into the restaurants, into the bars. So if the bars want to have a special on like a pineapple margarita or whatever they choose, people have that option to do that and do business right in there. And it leaves less complication for Chief Johnson and myself for the event. So we'd like to keep the alcohol in the bars.
Okay. Gentlemen, do you have any questions?
Mr. Mayor, is the Empowerment Center, is that free to the public then?
Yes.
All those
Yes,
services?
that is another way that we try to give back to the community. So it is free to the public, correct?
I have a question on that too. So you explained that if someone has a telehealth appointment, they don't have Wi-Fi or a computer, they can come in and you can get them set up. Is there just the one computer, or can other people come in if?
So as of right now, we have it set up where it's just the one. And so they call in, and our individual that staffs the office will guide them back and set them up on there. You know, usually those appointments only take an hour or two, so there's plenty of room throughout the day, and it's available 9 to 5. So
someone could use it for other purposes than telehealth if it were available?
if it were available, if it was needed.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Since this is you're going to be setting up, did it say 3 o'clock, I think?
Yep.
I don't know. Do you have a plan for a vendor to supply, like porta potties outside for folks?
We do not. I figured with the restaurants, if people needed to, they can go do their business if they wanted to eat or whatnot. If that's necessary, I can come up with something. I figured the public restrooms were kind of close enough that if they had to, that was an option as well.
I guess I might encourage you to seek out a vendor for that. I don't want to assume that the restaurants downtown will simply allow folks to, come and go without.
Oh, yeah, no, it wouldn't be, yeah, it would be,
And I guess my other suggestion to that, on that line, is that if you do get the vendor to supply that you would set those up in a more unobtrusive location to the businesses. I know sometimes that they could be set on just out front of a storefront, and folks will still be probably open for business when you're setting up. So
if we feel that it's a need, or if the council feels it's a need for us to provide portable restrooms, we do have on the other side of the Vista Beam office that larger parking lot, so we can put it there so it's in a discreet location.
I'm not going to comment on where you locate them, just that I think for that time frame, you might probably look into something for the public to utilize. And then I did have another question. What do you expect for vendor participation all up and down that block?
Vendor storefront or all of the
Just
above?
notice that you have vendors going on the map going to be located along both sides
So-
of the road.
The storefront businesses have an opportunity to set up directly in front of their business. And then other vendors or any other organizations that wish to participate, they're available to set up on the street. So we're not getting in the way of any storefront organization or business that wants to participate.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, if I could,
Yes, sir. Chief Johnson?
two things came up that are worth talking about for just a moment. When Miss Kara and I initially spoke, I did not understand that she was going to have bounce houses. That's certainly something we can work with, provided we can get power, but there's also a waiver that we'll need to work out that Mr. Eddington has provided. So if we approve that, I would ask that we approve it with consideration that that waiver be submitted and completed subject to the city's satisfaction. And then if we're looking at a restroom location, we had initially not required portalettes just because we're a block away from the public restrooms. But if that's something you folks think is a good idea, I would propose that down on 19th, just on the other side of where we're putting the vehicle barricade, in one of those parking spaces, north side probably, would be most beneficial and not have an impact, and we could still maintain our safe traffic plan.
Like I said, Mr. Mayor, I don't want to get involved in your plans. I do think it probably would be worthwhile for you. I would certainly walk a block, but I don't know if other folks would, so.
Well, we also have the Vista Beam office there too. So if it was a situation where maybe an elderly person or somebody who has a disability and walking that distance is not feasible, we also have the Vista Beam office there that we're more than willing to keep open for that.
In a sense, it might be a good problem to have. I mean, if you want a lot of people coming, right?
We want to really encourage people as much as possible to give business to the downtown restaurants. So that's as much as possible. We want to really encourage that.
This is a week from Friday, so you're kind of on a tight schedule for getting advertisement out if it gets approved tonight, then.
So with advertising, I did speak with Chief, and the Chief spoke with Mayor, and I asked at our own risk if it was okay if we did begin advertising on socials and connecting with businesses. If I get your approval tonight, I have door hangers that I plan on distributing the rest of this week and into early next week.
Mr. Mayor, just one final comment. I just want to commend you. Our community is always in need of entertainment and other opportunities to get folks out of their houses and down into the business district of our community. So thank you for taking this on. It's a lot of work. And hopefully it's a success for you and the community, and that it's something that can be repeated again in the future.
Thank you.
I have a question. Did you take the risk and advertise it yet?
I sure did.
Okay. All right. Gentlemen, do you have any further questions for Ms. Wiggins or for Chief Johnson? All right. I would entertain a motion to approve the special event permit set forth in item 1 with the provisional upon entering the agreement regarding the bounce house, and would also request as part of the motion that the special event permit fee be waived.
Mr. Mayor, I would take a crack at it. I would move to approve the special event permit as presented, contingent upon staff's approval of a liability waiver and to waive the special event permit fee.
Thank you. That was well stated. I'll try to keep track of that. Do I have a second to Councilman Victor's motion?
Mr. Mayor, I will second that.
Okay, I have a second from Councilman Patterson. So, the motion is to approve the special event permit contingent on working out the liability agreement with the city regarding the bounce house and to waive the special events permit fee. Okay. All right, that's the motion. It's been seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the special event permit as set forth in item number 1, as stated by Councilman Victorin and seconded, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wiggins. All right, next item on the agenda is item number 2, annual write-off of accounts. And I would call on Clerk Treasurer Strecker.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So attached to your agenda was a list of those write-offs. We are required to do this annually per state statute. I think you might have a copy of that up there, but if not, I do have a copy you can look at. Most of these are uncollectible. They're all uncollectible. Some of them are deceased. There's one bankruptcy, and then they're just out of, the statute has expired, so they're over the 10 years. And so our total for the account receivable 2024 write-offs for utility bills is $8,388.89. And then we also have a second list for accounts receivable write-offs for $2,248.97. And just as a point, just so you know, every year, or in '23, we billed 12.4 million in services. And this is about 0.08% of what we billed.
Is what I would call bad debt.
Right. I know I don't like to write these off, but I don't think we can't collect them. We're going to have to, just to keep our books straight and clean, and to abide by the state statute. This is a requirement.
And I have a question, Mrs. Strecker. I certainly understand what unpaid utility bill write-off is, utility accounts. But the other category, the accounts receivable write-off, give me an example of an account receivable.
So, for instance, one of these is for property cleanup that we were never able to collect. We paid for the property to be cleaned up. Unfortunately, we couldn't collect from that owner, or something happened and we couldn't get the property. We usually put a lien on the property if we can't get it paid. But property probably sold and we weren't able to get a lien on it, so we're stuck with $1,000 in cleanup fees. One of them is for sanitation. So the one there for the roofing company was a landfill fee. A service call, and property cleanup again. So those are what we have listed there.
Okay, and Councilman Victor.
Just curious, is that roofing company defunct?
I believe so. If I remember right, this was when we had the hailstorm and we had a lot of roofers in town. And we were unable.
Probably shingles taken out to the land.
They were out of town, an out-of-town vendor. So, yeah.
And then, would you explain for us the process? If you have an unpaid utility bill, or even an unpaid accounts receivable, what's the collection process that city undertakes?
So maybe Sylvia can explain this a little better, but we do try to, after 30 days, we try to collect it through billing, sending them notices. And
Yeah, so let's say they're disconnected for non-payment. We give them about 30 to 60 days. If it doesn't get paid to get turned back on, then it gets turned over to collections. And then this is what you're seeing a lot, the statute of limitations, or they're returned to us because they're uncollectible. On the accounts receivable side, we get Attorney Eddington involved for anything that he can collect locally. We have done some civil suits, but other than that, if he can't collect, collections is the other alternative as well, so.
Okay. And I know, just for everybody, the statute of limitations, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Eddington, for an oral contract, it's 8 years. For a written contract, it's 10.
Correct.
Okay, so these are bad debts that are beyond the statute of limitations, the 10-year statute.
That's correct. The order they sign would be considered, an order for services would be considered a written contract. And we normally would sue in small claims. I've helped Bobby with several of those. And we have several judgments, but collecting them are also not easy. 90% of these people are mobile, for lack of a better word.
And as you and I know, just because one has a judgment does not mean one's going to collect on the
I
judgment.
could
That's
retire on a
correct.
file full of judgments I have.
That's correct. But we do have good leverage if they're in town, we do turn off their services if temperature is high enough and we meet all the qualifications of giving notice set by the PSC. So that does help us collect a lot of our past due accounts.
And the city also has the power and authority, if, like on accounts receivable, to put a lien on the real property of the debtor, right?
And we've done that, and normally we'll get paid at closing sometimes if that happens. That happens every now and again also.
We've actually had a lot of payments lately with all the sale of the houses around town, so.
But if you look at less than 1%, that's actually amazing in the business world for bad debt.
Yeah. I was going to say, like I did last year when this issue came up, if you're a corporation or a business, you'd kill for this little of bad debt that you had to write off. It's just amazing, I think. I mean, we'd like to get every nickel, but you're just we live in this world and you're not going to get every nickel. And so this is I'm just pointing out that I think the city is taking reasonable efforts to collect the debt, the bad debt, as described by Deputy Clerk Anaya and Mrs. Strecker and Mr. Eddington. So I just wanted to say I think you're making reasonable efforts toward collecting.
If you're ready for a motion.
I'm
Mr.
ready for a
Mayor,
motion.
I would move that we approve the annual write-off of accounts.
All right. Okay, so I have a motion from Councilman Patterson on item number 2 to approve this annual write-off of accounts as set forth. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second from Councilman Deal. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor in item number 2 of approving the annual write-off of accounts signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that annual write-off of accounts is approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of the bills from June 19th, 24 to July 2nd, 24. And gentlemen, as usual, we have a set attached to your agenda itself and a set that was delivered to us this evening. So there's 2 sets to review. And I would call on, again, Mrs. Strecker.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'd be glad to answer any questions on those lists. Still pretty early in the month, so we'll have a lot more coming in the next week or so.
Mr. Mayor, I had a question. See, the state of Montana, we have payroll withholdings.
Yes.
Could you explain that for us, please?
It's probably, I don't know for sure, but it's probably child support.
Okay.
And that's if we have an employee who has a child support obligation and there's a court order that
Yes,
deducts it from his or her pay, then
right.
Just one question from me, Mr. Mayor. I see there's, on both sets for Bivens Construction for recycled asphalt. I'm just curious, are we paying for the product or are they actually recycling our asphalt? Are they doing
I think
this?
we're paying for the product.
Okay.
is that what's been placed up there by purchasing? Is that material that's up
Correct.
there?
There are other locations, depending on where the city needs to place it.
Keeps the dust down and lasts several months?
That's a lot longer,
Does it?
several months, yeah.
Okay.
It actually is very nice. If you drive on it.
If there are no more questions, Mr. Mayor, I would approve the paying of the bills.
All right, and I have on item number 3, a motion from Councilman Deal to approve the bills from June 19th, 24 to July 2nd of 24. Do I have a second?
I would second.
Second from Councilman Victorin. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I will call for a vote on that. All those in favor in item 3 of approval of the bills as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, approval of the bills in item 3 is approved. All right. Next item on the agenda is public comment. I know we have Fire Chief Luis Correa here, but we have members of the public. Does any member of the public have a comment? Seeing no takers, I would ask Fire Chief Luis Correa to come forward.
While he's coming up, Mr. Mayor, I would like to say it's nice to have some members of the public attend a meeting.
Appreciate it, folks.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So we've been fairly busy in the month of, or the last part of June. June 21st, we responded to a tree that was in the power lines and it was sparking. June 19th, we actually responded to a carbon monoxide detector going off. Upon investigation, we found out that it just had expired, and it was just announcing that it was at the end of its life. On the 22nd, we responded to a smell of propane in the basement of a house. The 23rd, we went to another pole sparking in the alley of Rio Vista. On that same day, we responded to a fire alarm at the Goshen County Detention Center, and it just was faulty on their end, and we were ended up being canceled before we made it on scene. On the 24th and the 25th, we spent quite a few hours on a rather large grass fire in the Pine Ridge Road area. We sent about 12 firemen and 5 pieces of apparatus. The first day and then the second day, it was two firemen and 1 apparatus. On the 26th, we responded to a motor vehicle accident on Main Street. On the 27th, we responded to a report of a tire on a vehicle while it was on fire. Upon investigation, we found out that it was just some coolant that had gotten on a hot motor and appeared to the occupant that their tire was on fire. Also on the 27th, we responded to a grass fire north of town. And July 1st, we responded to a call for a gas meter that was hit in an easement. the tree trimming service was backing up with one of their trailers and hit the gas meter. Those were our calls that we've done. The last 2 or 3 weeks, we've really been focusing on our dive training. Every year we get to go into the pool and test our equipment, make sure everything's working just fine. So if and when we do need it, we know it's good to go. We currently have another session planned for this Sunday, I believe, with everything going well. And a little bit of an update, we did receive the fill station and the compressor today. We have a little bit of construction work to get it into the spot where we currently have our stuff. We can't get the new unit into there, so we'll have to change the location of that, and that requires us to put an inertia pad on top of the floor that's currently in the station. Well, that's all I have.
I have a question. How many qualified divers does the department have?
Oh, man. Off the top of my head, maybe 12.
Oh, that many.
Yeah, we got quite a few, various stages. Some of them have open water certifications. A few of us are certified in full face mask and dry suit. And then I know myself, as well as some others, have gone through a critical skills dive class done through Dive Rescue International.
If I may make a comment too, I'm not an official spokesman for them, but on behalf of the Pine Ridge property owners up there, we very much appreciate the work that was done. I happen to know that we have a couple of city employees that have property up there. My wife and I have property up there, and thankfully everything was saved and no real damage, but there was a couple of sections burned, and it burned very quickly, and the wind was blowing and it was dry, and I didn't know how they were going to get it under control, but they did. And then they stayed there and kept tamping it down as it popped up again. So job well done. We very much appreciate it.
Yeah, it was definitely a large team effort. I think at one point Lance and I were in charge of a division, and I think at one point we were in control of 22 apparatus and 2 aircraft. So that just tells you that was our section of the fire. There were other people there. We had some people come in from Platte County. The Bureau of Land Management came in and helped out. Yoder Fire, Torrington Fire, Lingle, Veteran, Fort Laramie, Hawk Springs, and I believe LaGrange. So, and Prairie Center, I believe. Yeah, it was.
And just for the folks that aren't familiar with that area, that's north of Fort Laramie, and it's rather remote.
It is, and there was, you'd get on that fire and you'd start knocking it down a little bit, and it'd get into a draw, and then you'd have to find a way.
Rough country.
You'd have to find a way around it and hope that you beat it to the other side to get it put out. So yeah, it's beautiful country, but very rough terrain.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Just one question, Chief. I was curious if all of our fleet is in service, or we still have a few that are getting repaired.
No, we're, no repairs that would require us to take anything out of service. So yeah, we are 100% operational.
Good.
Good to hear. All right, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
I'm not closing it yet, but before I forget, I should have announced at the beginning, I forgot to. Councilman Dennis Kelly is absent tonight, but he's excused. I wanted to say that before we left. So, we do have a quorum. All right. Gentlemen, do you have any comments?
Mayor, do you mind?
Yes, sir.
Just Just a reminder on 2 events for the community. August 6th, we're having National Night Out in the Park. Will be our council meeting there. We'd welcome everybody to attend. It's going to be a great time. Any vendors that want to have a booth or local businesses that want to hang out with the community, they're welcome to do that free of charge. Just jump on our Facebook page and the event and you can register for free. And we're also still accepting applications for Dare Camp coming up on August 12th. So any kiddo in Goshen County going into 6th grade is welcome to join, and it's going to be a great time. So also that can be found at the PD.
One moment, Chief. So
Yes, sir.
Dare Camp, how long is that camp?
That is a week-long camp. It's going to be essentially all of the DARE curriculum pushed down into 4 days. We're also going to provide gun handling and firearm safety at the end of each day, and then we'll finish up with a range day, and we're going to make a trip out to the camp that I just totally lost out of my brain. I can't remember the name of the camp at the moment, but that our last day is going to be a fun day at camp. So it's going to be a good time.
Okay, and that's for kids age what?
Thank you. Haven on the Rock. Thank you, Chief Correa. Saving me, brother.
And what age kids are eligible for that?
We really set it up since we normally teach DARE in 5th grade, and we weren't able to do that this past year. We've got it set up so that any kiddo going into 6th grade will be able to attend. And we probably could find some flexibility there, but we want to make sure that those kiddos have the opportunity first.
All right.
So,
Thank you, Chief. All right. If there isn't any further comment from council or the public, we have completed our agenda for this evening, so this meeting is adjourned.